Hello, friends. Well, we read a myth, and so we're going to find out what a myth is. What are myths? Myths are old stories that have been told orally for many years. That just means they have been told by someone rather than just read. Myths are stories that try to explain how our world works. A long time ago, before people understood science, they would use a myth to try to explain how natural events worked. So people would try to understand how our world came to be. They might try to understand happenings like how do rainbows happen? And why is the sun in the sky? And how does lightning happen? Why is the ocean blue? How did tornadoes happen? And many other natural events. Long ago, they would try to understand before they had science to help them understand it. Now we have science and we understand how tornadoes happen and how lightning happens and those type things. But back then they did not really understand all of that. So they would use myths to try to answer these questions about natural events or natural happenings. However, all these stories were made up and are not really true. The myths are usually a fun way to explain how something happens in nature. So if you will think about our Catch It and Run story, what natural event do you think the myth Catch It and Run is trying to explain? What happening in nature is it trying to explain how it works or how it happens? If you guessed how fire happens, you would be correct. That is what Catch It and Run is trying to explain. And of course, this myth is talking about fire beings and a teepee and that type of thing, and just a fun way to let you know or try to explain how fire happens in the world and how it works. But we know that that is not really how fire happens. So that was just an attempt of people long ago to come up with kind of a unique way to try to decide or tell people how fire happened. Are there any other natural events that this myth might also be trying to explain in Catch It and Run? Is there anything else in there that you think that they're trying to give an explanation for something in nature? Well, if you guessed how the deer got its short tail, you would be correct. Because in the story, it said that the fire being caught part of the deer's tail on fire, and that is why now all deers have short tails, which we know that is not really true, but again, that's what myths do. They try to explain how things work or happen in nature. So I'm going to have a Google form ready for you to answer this little question down here. There are a few more natural events or happenings that this myth tries to explain. Can you guess what they are? Check all the boxes that you think are correct. There are more than one. So on a Google form, if you will go in and try to check off if there are any more natural happenings that you think that this myth is trying to explain to us. And you'll have to switch over to your Google form to be able to do that. Thank you and bye.